Well, greetings, imagination connoisseurs, and welcome to another episode of the Otaku Experience over here on the Burnett Network. I'm, of course, your host, Israel. I hope you guys have had a fantastic holiday season. Welcome to the new year, 2025. Happy New Year, everybody. I hope you guys had a good Christmas, a good New Year. I don't know how many of you were off for like a long period of time or if you were just off for like a day. I got a new job in December, so my new schedule is like I get off on the day of a holiday, but then the next day we have to go in an hour early. So, but I hope everybody had a good time. I sure did. And I'm looking forward to making this a good year. And that's kind of where I want to start this episode of the Otaku Experience, is looking back on 2024 and also looking forward to 2025 in terms of the show. I don't think it's like, I think it's safe to say that 2024 was a bad year for the show. It was the sequelitis, and it was the bad sequel to the okay first movie in the trilogy. And I'm determined to make 2025 the best entry into the trilogy. But let's look back on 2024. So in 2024, a lot of stuff I can't really talk about in my personal life happened. Just a whole derailing of everything. My schedule was no longer the same. And so that's why it took like a 3-month break or something. How long did I take off at the beginning of last year? Just because immediately like 2024 started, I was like, oh, this is going to be a great year. Smacked. A wrench was thrown into my tire. And I just had to like, okay, I guess we're going to have to figure this out. And it never truly got settled. The entire year was unsteady. I thought that it would, which is why I told you guys probably 3 or 4 months into last year that I was like, oh yeah, we'll be back right around the corner, and then we'll be back to normal. Never happened. And I was just like trying to find time, because before I had a set schedule. Like, okay, I had Thursdays, I do the Otaku Experience. I have Sundays, I do the Otaku Experience. But then it was like, I don't know what's going on. I might be off on a Monday now and working. I might even be working throughout the weekend. Like, there was no set day. I might not have a single time off. And the time I do have off, I want to spend with my girlfriend, well, formerly girlfriend, now fiance, or with my family or with friends. And I might not want to sit on my computer for 4 hours and make a show. Not that I dislike doing the show, but it's just like, I only had so much time at certain points. And there was definitely, I'm not going to say it was all that, like all of it was out of my control. There was definitely a lack of discipline on my part when I did have the time. And I knew I wanted to do the show, but it was just like, but do I want to put in that effort? And it's like, yeah, you should have put in the effort. And this year I want to put back in that effort. Now with my new job, I have a new consistent schedule, very reliable, a set thing. I'm not bouncing around all the time like I was last year. And I think this is the goal for myself. I want to do the Otaku Experience at the minimum 3 times a month on Saturdays, or at least I'll film it on Saturdays and I'll send it to Robin. He'll probably upload it on Sunday, whenever it's best for him. But I'll film it on Saturday. That's my day to do the Otaku Experience. And then we'll go accordingly with that. And I think once I set aside this day now, like the first half of this day, I think that this will be ultimately a lot better. And maybe throughout the course of the year, maybe the day will change. Like maybe I'll switch it to doing it on Sunday and that'll be better. And then it'll come out on Mondays. Or maybe I'll film it after, I don't know. We'll just see how the year plays out. We'll see how the schedule goes. But I think as long as I give myself a day, like this is the Otaku Experience day, then I think that can give me a lot of that can just help me. I'm like a schedule guy. I love making calendars. I love knowing what's going to happen. Me and my fiance are currently planning our wedding, and it is exactly that. Like I want to know this and this and this. I want to know every step, because if any of it is like, oh, we'll figure it out, then it's just I just know myself. It's just going to fall apart. I'm just going to put it off and I'm never going to get to it. So it has to be like a scheduled thing. It has to be in my calendar. I've been told like that's like a weird OCD thing. I have everything. I have driving in my calendar. But I know that if I don't put it in there, I'll leave late or something like that. Like, it's just, I'm bad when I'm not utterly, like, absurdly scheduled because of my ADHD. I just, like, my focus just changes. And so if I don't have a constant reminder of this is what you need to do, and I still leave room for like free time and goofing off because that's who I am. But, you know, if I have like work or if I have like a thing scheduled, I need to do those things and I can't be running around distracted. I will say that's my main goal for the year, is just discipline. And I think with discipline will come consistency. The things the things that were out of my control are no longer out of my control. They're now in my control, and they are reliable again. Like I said, I now have a consistent schedule. So now all the burden of responsibility is back on me, and so I have to be disciplined. I have to be consistent. It was no surprise that last year when I wasn't as consistent as I was, and I wasn't able to put as much. Sometimes I wasn't able, and sometimes I just chose not to put as much effort into the show. I mean, it's really self-explanatory why the viewership kind of dropped. And I'm sorry. And I hope that I can bring that back and bring some of those viewers back who maybe were like, he clearly doesn't care, so why should I care about this show? And hopefully, we can start building a community again when I actually care. Because I do care and I do want to be here. It's just last year, some of the times I did want to be here and I just wasn't able to, and other times, or at least be here fully. And then other times I didn't want to be here and I felt like I had to do it out of obligation. I pitched this show to Rob. This was my pitch because I was passionate about it and I wanted to do it. And I thought it'd be cool and I thought it'd be something good for the community. And Rob saw something in it. And I think, if I had pitched the show now or like last year in that mindset I was in, Rob wouldn't have allowed me to do it because that spark wasn't there. And Rob hasn't said this or anything, but I think Rob definitely could tell that something was off. I mean, of course, I told everybody like what was going on as much as I could without getting into too much personal detail. But I think Rob could definitely see like, okay, he's not as into it. And Rob's been very gracious with me this year, or this past year. And so I thank you to Rob for that. But there was a part of me last year that was like, maybe I'm going to end the show. Maybe 2024 will be the end. Maybe I'll just like do a finale last minute and just like announce it with the episode. But I was like, okay, let's not be rash. Let's sit through, let's just enjoy the holidays and we'll decide. And I want to give 2025 a real fair shake. Of doing this show consistently. I also want to get back on my main channel. I did a few videos last year, but I want to get back to more of that consistent stuff because it was really fun being back. But it takes so much more. Like the Otaku Experience takes like 4 hours to do, but a King Tannic video takes like, depending on the type of video, like if it's a Saturday, it probably takes like 8 hours in terms of like editing. But if it's like any other video, we're talking like 20 hours. If it's an ultimate review, that's like a work week full of editing and I have to like do nothing else other than that. And so it just takes time. And if I get off, like if I procrastinate, like that's the discipline thing. If I procrastinate at all, it gets completely off my schedule. Another personal goal that I've been setting goals. So I've been trying to get more into film and into anime because those are some of my passions. I love storytelling and, I've started working on a script again this year. And I just want to get more back into that fold, and it's made me a much happier person. And so this year I have a goal for myself. With movies, it's 200 films, because last year I hit my goal of 150, so I want to do 200 films this year. And I also want to do 40 anime this year. That's 10 anime per season. I'm still debating if I'm going to count ongoing shows into that, because I think right now I have 10 anime in winter that I'm watching. We'll get into that later. But I think there's like 5 ongoing. Like, do I count the ongoing shows in the 10, or do I have 10 new shows plus the ongoing? And so I'll figure that out. Maybe if you guys have any thoughts, you can let me know, and we'll go forward with that. But I just wanted to come and talk a little bit candidly here about, just everything that's been going on regarding the show, and that I think the future of the Otaku Experience is actually pretty bright. And I hope you guys give me another chance. with all that serious part out of the way, it's time to get into the really cool stuff. And it is a new year, so it is 2025, and I'm realizing I did not load any of this up. We got this, guys. We got a long year ahead of us. We're going to figure this out. But with a new year comes a bunch of new anime. And so I want to talk about the anime that I'm most excited for coming out in 2025. These are my 10 most anticipated shows. I originally had like 17 and I had to drop that down. It was a little bit difficult, but these are a solid 10 that I'm good with. There's probably a couple in here that I could have swapped out with another 2 shows, but today I felt like these, maybe I should have done an honorable mentions, but I didn't. So maybe off the top of my head, a couple honorable mentions that I can think of, like maybe Oshinoko Season 2, that didn't make my list, but it's an honorable mention. I think, no, that's on my list. One Punch Man, definitely excited for that, but didn't make my list. I think that's really it. Everything else that I'm super excited for is on my list. Okay, My Hero Academia, the final season is coming out this year, and I am excited for that because it's the end. And so I want to see how that wraps up. I know some things from the manga, but I've mainly stayed away, so that'll be interesting to see when the anime comes out. But for my actual 10 most anticipated shows of the year, these are not in any ranked order. I put these in alphabetical order because a lot of these shows still don't have confirmed season dates. So we don't know when they're coming out, but we know they're coming out this year, or at least they're scheduled to. And if they get delayed, then that'll be tragic. But starting out the list, Arknight's Rise from Ember. Now, for most other people, this is probably not going to be anywhere near on their radar, let alone on their list. So for me, as you guys know, Arknight Season 1, Prelude to Dawn, was my favorite anime of, was that 22? I think, 2022. Favorite anime of that year. I loved it. I thought it was brilliant. I thought it was fascinating and just overall great. And I also thought the most underrated anime of that year, and maybe even of like the past few years, because people still don't talk about it. Arknight's Perish in Frost came out in 2023. I thought that was a pretty big step down, but at the end of the day, I still liked it, and I forget if it made my top list of the year or if it was just an honorable mention of that year, but I still thought it was decent and I still enjoyed it. But Rise from Ember, I guess this will see, you know, if this one stays like with season 2, then season 4 probably won't be on my list. And if this is even bad, oh gosh, I don't know what I'm going to do, but, I still have hope that it's going to be like, that exciting, you know, political drama, you know, kind of like soft. It's kind of a war, but not completely action. It's very drama focused. You know, we'll just see. I never thought that a gacha game could be as interesting in terms of an anime adaptation as Arknight Season 1 was. And so hopefully it continues with this 3rd season. They've delayed it a bit. So hopefully that means some good things in terms of the production and not bad things. Maybe I'm just coping, but I'm excited to see where they go with Arknight's Rise from Ember. All right, number 2 on my list. Once again, these are not in alphabetical order, or these are not in any type of ranking. These are in alphabetical order. And it is Bleach 1,000 Year Blood War, The Calamity. They finally named the final part The Calamity. And this is the end. This is the end of Bleach, at least as far as we know, unless some new stuff comes out after this comes out. But in the world that we live in, this is the end. This is where they catch up with the manga. This is the end of Bleach. And it's just crazy to say that, even though I didn't completely grow up with Bleach and I only binged all of Bleach, I think in 2021. It might have been 2022. I forget when part 1 came out, but I binged it all that year. It still is just like, whoa, like it's the end of Bleach. It's just been crazy. And I have not finished the part that just ended. What was it? The Conflict. Still really good. I just haven't had time to finish it yet. And I'm just stoked to see where it goes. And hopefully, because I predict, we'll get into Anime Awards season in just a second, but I predict that part 3 of Bleach will probably be ignored. I hope that's not the case with part 4, because I think Bleach should be at least recognized for I don't think people realize just how cool, like how good it is. The animation, like it has no right still being this good, but it is. So I think we should. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing where how Bleach finally concludes. Then we have a show that just ended, and it's sequel season. We have what a lot of people are saying might be anime of the year this year. I don't agree with that, but it is the sequel of a show that I still really, really liked, Dan 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 Season 2. It's hard to believe that it's already coming out in summer. It makes me think that maybe they were originally going to do 2 cores, and then they just weren't ready with it in time, and so they just bumped it off to summer. But either way, I'm stoked to see where it goes because I really thought the first part was a lot of fun. The characters are really great. The animation was fantastic. The opening, absolute banger. Just like in terms of shonen anime, just like everything was great. And so I'm excited to see where they go in season 2. I feel like that was really self-explanatory. I don't have much to say there. This one, I know I didn't say that these are ranked, but this one is my most anticipated anime of the year, just by far and away. And I think you'll know why. It's Freerun season 2. I already told you guys, Freerun season 1 in my mind is like the best anime of like the past 10 years, 5-10 years, at least that I've seen. And it might be, it's getting up there. The more I sit with it, the more I think about it, the more I'm just like, man, Freerun's so good. Like, I usually think shows are overhyped on my anime list because of the score system. But if you just look at Freerun season 1, it's still ranked the number 1 and it's got a 9.3. And I'm sitting here like, yeah, that's about right. It is just so good. It is just so amazing. And I don't even know where it's going to go. I just want to see the anime. I'm so happy that it's coming back. I was worried that maybe I don't know how expensive or what, but maybe they would be like, yeah, we didn't really make a good return on our investment in season 1, so we're not going to do a season 2. That would have broken my heart and I would have died. But thank God they're coming back with season 2, and I'm excited to see it. And hopefully it's coming out this year, but it's not official. This maybe could get bumped into early 2026, which would be tragic. But hey, as long as it's quality, I'm happy. Then up next, we have this one that I haven't really talked about that much, but then when I was making my list, it just seemed like it had to be on here, and that is Gachiakuta. And the reason why, even though I haven't read the manga, is number 1, it's coming from Studio Bones, and I really like Studio Bones, but also just what it's about, like classism, and also throw in the fantasy shonen stuff with the monsters and in the abyss and things like that. Like it's also cool, like the political intrigue, but also the shonen stuff. And all that put together, this one just sounds like it's right up my alley. And I'm just so excited to see it. Like this one, or like with a couple of these, sorry, I bumped my mic there. We don't have an exact season. We only have that it's going to be coming out this year. And so we'll just have to see when that comes out, but I am stoked for it either way. This next one, I don't know if it's going to be on many people's lists, just because it's an original anime, but that's one of the reasons why it's on my list. And that is the Adult Swim anime Lazarus from MAPPA. And I know that we were all excited for Uzumaki when they announced like a trilogy of Adult Swim anime, Uzumaki, Lazarus, and what was the other one? I totally forgot. Anyway, they announced all 3 and we were all so excited. Uzumaki, so hopefully that doesn't happen with Lazarus, but I'm still cautiously very excited for this one. Just because it's an original show and I love championing original shows. And I also just think it sounds really cool. You guys know this. We've been talking about this every time there's something coming out. And we still don't have an exact release date, which I'm surprised by. But hopefully, I think this is probably going to be coming out in like spring or summer. I don't see it coming out all the way in fall. It's too far. And winter's already started, so it's not coming out then. But I guess we'll see. But I'm just stoked for Lazarus, just because I love original anime. MAPPA's doing it. I mean, even though MAPPA's got some things that we've been talking about, but they still put out great anime. So there's that there. And then we have 4 more. And the next one is Mushoku Tensei Season 3. Now, Mushoku Tensei Season 2 was not on my list whenever that came out, Part 1 or Part 2, just because I was not the biggest fan of the first season. I don't hide that fact. I thought the first season was, at best, a very mixed bag. Season 2 changed that. Season 2 was very solid. And so now I'm actually anticipating where they're going in season 3. And I guess we'll just see. Hopefully the production doesn't continue to decline. It seemed like it did between season 1 and 2. So hopefully that doesn't happen. I know that Studio Bind is picking up more anime. Originally, they were essentially just created to be the Mushoku Tensei studio. They were created to do that. But now they're picking up more anime. And I feel like doing that will kind of separate the crew. And, we might get both of those shows might suffer rather than just having one great season of Mushoku Tensei. So cautiously optimistic. We'll see where they go. Hopefully it's a lot more like season 2 than it was like season 1 in terms of like what happens. And then up next is one that I think everybody's excited for. This is going to be on a lot of people's lists for sure. And so totally not original, but it's up there. Sakamoto Days. I just think this one looks cool. I only know about the synopsis, and I know that it's super popular, and that's enough for me to be super excited for it. It's coming out in just a few days on the 11th, and I'm stoked to watch this. I don't even really know. It's like kind of reminds me in terms of the style a lot like Spy X Family, but I mean it's clearly not that. But that's the kind of vibe I get, and I thought the first season. The second part of the first season and the movie of Spy Family are a lot of fun. Still haven't finished season 2, and I thought the first part of season 1 was just okay. But this tone kind of reminds me of that, and it, I'm just getting more excited the closer we get to see it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Then we have 2 more. This one is one that once again I'm probably going to be alone on, and it is the second season of Shoshimin How to Become Ordinary, because I thought that the first season was actually pretty darn good. I know a lot of people were like, oh, it's boring, or it could have done this and this. And yeah, it could have done some things better. But overall, it's about the journey. It's about how the art hits you and how it makes you feel. And it really made me grapple with, certain, not in like the most profound way ever, but, it made me think about like, hey, are there things that I try to do that like, and deny who I really am just to fit in. And I really like that exploration, and I like how quirky and weird it is. And I hope to see that continue to play out in season 2, because I thought that was really interesting and made it one of the most memorable and standouty anime of last year. And then we have the last one. It's like we alternate between this isn't going to be on anyone's list. This is on everybody's list. This isn't going to be on everyone's list. This is going to be, you know what I mean? And this last one is one of the big ones. It's going to be on everybody's list. At least by the time it comes out, I think. And that is The Summer Hikaru Died. Just because the source material I know has been just like praised by everybody. That's the wrong button. It's being done by Cygames. I thought the synopsis was cool, and the art just looks amazing. So a lot of stuff here that I'm excited for. Also, it's a horror anime. Like, when we don't get many horror anime, let alone great horror anime, and this has the potential to be a great horror anime. And so I'm very excited to see that. But anyways, guys, those are my top 10 most anticipated anime of the 2025 anime cycle. We have, once again, Arknights, Rise from Ember, Bleach, 1000 Year Blood War, The Calamity, Dandadan Season 2, Free Run Beyond Journey's End Season 2, Gachi Akuta, Lazarus, Mushoku Tensei Jobless Reincarnation Season 3, Sakamoto Days, Shoshimin How to Become Ordinary Season 2, and The Summer Hikaru Died. Those are my top 10. Let me know what your guys' top 10 are. Maybe I totally blanked on some shows. I kind of just went through my anime list and just looked at some of the most popular coming out of each season. And I'm sure that when like each season comes up, I'll have, I'll be picking like probably 10 shows from each season. So, I mean, this is only like a fraction of all the anime I'm going to watch. And there's still way more shows that I was excited for, like I mentioned earlier. But these are just the top 10, at least in my mind right now when I'm doing this episode. But let me know what you guys think. All right, so that's looking forward into 2025, but it's time to look a little bit back at 2024. The year of anime is over, and let's talk about what are going to be the major contenders in this award season. So we have at least the 2 biggest that I can think of course, the Crunchyroll Anime Awards, which are now going to be in May this year because they've expanded the window, and because fall 2024 is in contention and some shows are going to go through winter. Nominations and voting don't even start until March, or April, I forget. So it's pushing it all the way down, but we still have the anime trending ones. I forget when, I think sometime in February. But anyway, so it's time to talk about, at least in my mind, those are the two biggest. It's time to talk about what are going to not only be the nominees, but what are going to be the front runners, and possibly, can we even predict who's going to win these anime awards? So first things first, we'll start with my favorite and what I think is the best anime award show that we have, bar none, and that is the Anime Trending Anime Awards. And here's their official nominees list for Anime of the Year. They have Anime Movie of the Year, and then all their character categories, and I think they even have voice acting and songs and stuff down there. But we're going to stick to the main stuff, just the top anime awards. So they have the 7th Time Loop, Alia, Classroom of the Elite Season 3, Dan Da Dan, Date Alive 5, Days with My Stepsister, Delicious in Dungeon, Freerun Beyond Journey's End, Girls Band Cry, Konosuba Season 3, Meikain, Mushoku Tensei Season 2, Oshinoko Season 2, ReZero Season 3, Solo Leveling, The Apothecary Diaries, and The Dangers in My Heart. So, really big list. This is still one of my biggest criticisms for the Anime Trending Awards, is that they just have way too many nominees. And I think it's because they want as many shows to feel included as possible. But man, just limit it. I think because they already do the seasonal awards, and we'll go over the Anime Trending Fall Seasonal Awards later in the show, but they go over the seasonal awards every season, and we see which show won the season. And then they have like a top 4. In my mind, I think it's just so obvious. Have only the winner of the season be nominated for Anime of the Year. Then you have 4 shows that can be nominated. And then at the end, do a wild card round. And at the end of the wild card round, you have one more nominee. And then you have 5 nominees, okay? And those would be your Anime of the Year nominees. I think it just makes it way simpler. It makes it way more competitive, because right now I look at this list and I'm like, well, half of these aren't even in contention. No one's talking about this. No one's talking about Alia. No one's talking about Classroom of the Elite. No one's talking about Date Alive. No one's talking about Girls Band Cry. No one's really talking about Konosuba. Even Delicious in Dungeons, no one's really talking about. No one's talking about Days with My Stepsister, or Mushoku Tensei. Really, these are your big nominees for Anime of the Year. Okay, you guys ready? Here are your nominees. You have Dan Da Dan, of course. It just won its fall season. Then you have Too Many Losing Heroines, which won summer. Then you have Konosuba, which won spring, I believe. And you have The Dangers in My Heart, which won winter. Those are your big contenders in terms of who won the season. Now, we're not even talking about who I think is actually going to win the awards. So there's also The Apothecary Diaries, which is one of the most, not only watched, but one of the most beloved shows of 2024. And season 2 is one of the most anticipated shows just by the community coming out in 2025. But also, the one that I think is going to take it, and I think everybody knows is going to take it, is Freerun Beyond Journey's End. These are the shows, okay? If I had to rank these, I think Freerun's number 1. I think, if I'm being honest, Dan Da Dan is number 2, just because there's also a little bit of recency bias there. But also, even if that's just my opinion, I just factually, it is one of the most watched and one of the most beloved shows of the year. So it won its season. It fair and square. It is a beloved show. Then after that, I would probably put as a tie The Dangers in My Heart and The Apothecary Diaries. I think The Dangers in My Heart was more. People loved that one a lot more, and that one just straight up won its season. But with continuing shows, they don't really play the same way. So you have actual seasonal shows like The Dangers in My Heart, which played for 12 episodes in that season. But then The Apothecary Diaries was a carryover from the previous season, just like Freerun was. So it's not necessarily playing by the same rules. So that's why I put these kind of tied, because I could see this taking the lead, but this, by all the numbers, should theoretically be in front of that. Then I would put Too Many Losing Heroines. And then lastly, I would put Konosuba, because that's the one least that people are talking about the least. So that's what I think will happen in the Anime Trending Awards. Now, as it progresses, we could see like some momentum change, like maybe because Solo Leveling Season 2 is playing, that people will be like, oh, remember Solo Leveling Season 1? That was really cool. And then that could like maybe push it up. ReZero will be coming back pretty soon. I feel like there's something in my eye. ReZero will be coming back pretty soon. And so maybe that same thing happens there. Because these shows are going to be coming back during the voting process when voters are making their decisions about who is going to win the awards, because these are audience voted. And so if the audience is currently watching something, odds are they're not going to be perfectly objective because humans aren't. And they're going to be like, oh yeah, that latest episode of Solo Leveling was really good. Man, that first season was really good. Maybe I'll vote for that anime of the year. You know, not saying that these are going to win, but these could push their way up higher, which could make some of these shows like Dangers in My Heart or Apothecary Diaries maybe fall down a couple spots. But really, I think this is no competition for Freerun. The only thing that could stop Freerun from winning this is the same thing that could stop it from winning the Crunchyroll Awards, which we'll talk about in just a minute. And that is the fact that it technically aired in 2023 and it ended back almost a year ago. So it has been so long that it might just be out of people's minds. And they might, like when they reminisce on it, be like, yeah, that was really good. But I mean, I still think it'll still win because it is still the highest rated anime of all time on my anime list, one of the most popular anime of this past year. It's one of those few anime that transcends outside of like the anime community feeds on social media and stuff, and you see regular people talking about it. Dan to Dan did the same thing. That I really think it'll be Freerun, but that could be the only thing holding it against it. So there's your Anime Trending Awards nominees for Anime of the Year, and who I think are the front runners and who I think is going to win. Now, we will see how this plays out, and maybe I'll change my opinions as like voting progresses and how I see things moving. But right now, I see all the momentum being behind Freerun, and I don't really see it changing all that much. So, going on over to the Crunchyroll Anime Awards. Obviously, this is the page. We have the hosts and stuff, and then you can go to the official website where you have all of the categories and stuff. The nominees have not been announced yet. That happens in April, so this is a very long time away. But here's who I think are your big nominees. These are who I think are going to be nominated, but then but they're also ranked in terms of who I think is going to win. So, number one, who I think is easily going to be nominated and is the front runner to win, is Freerun. And I know what you're thinking, Israel. Freerun is not real. Like it. Yeah, I mean, it's one of, if not the best show of the past year. But is that really a Crunchyroll Anime Awards winner? And that's the question. That's why it's not like a super confident number one, but I still have it in first place. Number two, and the one that I think is like, it's almost like it was perfectly designed to be Anime of the Year at Crunchyroll, is Dandadan. Dandadan just came out. It has all the recency momentum behind it. Really well reviewed, really popular. And season 2 is going to be coming out pretty soon. So I think the momentum could also fall behind that. Of course, Solo Leveling is going to be nominated, and that could affect, if season 2 is really good for Solo Leveling fans, you might see people really vote for that. I think Solo Leveling was the most watched show of last year, so it definitely has momentum there. But we've also seen that not play out, where Cyberpunk Edgerunners was one of the least most watched shows, and it's compared to the other nominees, and it still won. So just viewership doesn't automatically mean winning at Crunchyroll, but it is a big part. Number 4, this is just because I don't think it really has a chance to win at all, but it just always gets nominated, and that is the latest season of Demon Slayer. The only thing that I think could keep it from being, a big contender is that, from what I heard, I kind of skipped it. I'll probably watch it before the movie because I want to see the movies in theaters. But Demon Slayer, this latest season, was kind of a filler season. Up until, at least from what I've heard, up until the end, where it kind of has a really big climax and, goes and leads into where the trilogy is going to pick up. But other than that, it sounds like it was a pretty, intentionally so, lackluster season building to the big finale. Then I have my last 5. So those are the ones that I'm like, these are going to be nominated. And I would be very surprised if one of them wasn't. But these last 2, maybe not. But these are who I think have the biggest momentum behind them. And that is Oshinoko Season 2 and Kaiju number 8. I think both of those will be nominated. Neither one of them have a chance to win. Maybe in some other categories. But they're both very popular shows, very well regarded. Oshinoko Season 1 was nominated last year, so I think it has momentum there. And they were both really well regarded shows. I think in Japan, they were a lot less popular than they were in the States, especially with Kaiju number 8. So we'll see how much of that can have an effect on the voting body if if a larger portion of Americans vote for Kaiju number 8 than other people, then that could really mess up Kaiju number 8's chances. I still think it'll get nominated, but that could mess up its actual winning chances, which is why I have it at the bottom of the list, because I think it's the least likely to win out of these nominees. Some other ones that could maybe get nominated that I don't really see, because Crunchyroll, if we're being honest, is really just the Shonen Awards. I mean, that's what they've kind of been called, the Shonen Awards, the Popularity Awards. That's really their bread and butter. But something else that maybe could pop in there, I mean, you could see Bleach pop in there. The only reason I don't have it in there is because it just doesn't get nominated. Like the last part didn't get nominated for Anime of the Year. And that part was also really well reviewed. And so since that didn't get nominated, I don't see this getting nominated. Something that could be, that I think is eligible and could pop in there is ReZero Season 3. Because I think Part 2 starts during this next season, during winter, and it could end right with the as the nominations and voting starts. And this, I think, is eligible because technically this is a fall anime from last year, and so that could propel it to get a nomination. But just going based off of experience and going based off of what has happened in the past, I think that those are your big ones. A really low on the list contender that I don't think is going to happen, but could theoretically, is The Elusive Samurai. I don't think that this is going to happen, but it is something that might happen because I know that some of its fans are really diehard, and I know the season that it was coming out, it was really well regarded by the community. So we could see. Another one would be Windbreaker. I don't see that happening, but maybe, just maybe. Maybe even Konosuba Season 3. And then maybe even Delicious in Dungeon could get in there. But I don't really see, these are ones that I would put maybe in the bottom, if those are the top 6, because Crunchyroll has 6 nominees, then I would put for the bottom 4, if we were making a top 10, the bottom 4 would be those. But really, I don't see the wind blowing in their favor. We'll see when the nominations come out. And then once all that happens, we can talk about who has the most momentum based on who has the most nominations and things like that, and see who is really in favor and poised to win the awards. But for now, my really far out prediction for these is Frierin's going to win both. I give Frieren almost a guaranteed win in anime trending, a slight victory in Crunchyroll, with Dan being a close second in both. Well, not a close second in anime trending, but a second place in both of those options. But those are just my predictions for the anime season. I think that those are going to be probably the two most celebrated shows of this year, Frieren and Down to Dawn, at least for the award shows that include Frieren in its eligibility, because there are some award shows that happened earlier this year that already celebrated Frieren. So we will just have to see how all of that plays out. But currently, that's where I stand on the award season. All right, so there's a bunch of big picture stuff looking at the Otaku Experience in 2025, looking at my most anticipated anime of 2025, looking at the award season for the entire year of 2024. But it's time to go over something a lot more. Let's zoom in a little bit. Let's zoom in and talk about the anime that I'm planning on watching in winter. I'm going to be using live charts. I usually use AnyChart, but it's been weird. I did a stream on my channel when I was picking out the shows, youtube.com/KingTanic if you want to check that out. But it was weird. Certain numbers were completely blocked out. It would be 1, 2, 7, 8, 9, 11. It was really weird. And I tried multiple ways to configure it and see if they would pop up. Refreshing the website just didn't work. So we had to move over to my anime list. And then I put them all in livechart.me because I prefer the layout to my anime list for this. But these are ranked in terms of popularity, not necessarily my ranking of what I'm most excited for. If any of these popped into my most anticipated anime of the year, you already know that I'm the most excited for these. But these are the anime that at least I'm planning to watch in winter 2025. I think there's 10 of them. So first we have Solo Leveling Season 2, Rise from Shadow. This is in my considering because I have not seen the first season because I skipped the first season. But now that the pain and the anger towards the Solo Leveling fans for the torment they've put me through the past, my entire anime YouTube experience, now that pain is kind of past, maybe I will go and actually check out Solo Leveling. It's also going to be a big contender in the awards especially for Crunchyroll. So it just wouldn't make sense to not watch it. And even if I don't like it, I can still drop the first season, but I can at least say I gave it a shot. And so maybe I will watch this, which is why I have it in considering. The same thing is for the Apothecary Diary Season 2. Considering because I have not watched the first season. I missed it. And so I will be looking forward to checking that out. And maybe I'll watch even the second season if I like it that much. Then the ones I'm actually planning to watch, we have Sakamoto Days, Quintessential Quintuplets Specials, which doesn't really count, My Happy Marriage Season 2, and Honey Lemon Soda. These are all first seasons. The one I'm most excited for out of these bunch is Sakamoto Days. That was in one of my most anticipated shows of the entire year. I don't know if this Quintessential Quintuplets thing really counts because it's just a couple of specials. And I couldn't even find it on my anime list, so I don't actually know where I can watch it, where I can find it. It says it already came out, so I don't even know if this counts. But anyway, it's up here. I love quintuplets. And My Happy Marriage Season 2, like I already said in my live stream, I don't really remember the first season of My Happy Marriage, but I do remember thinking it was cute, so why not? And overall, this seems like a kind of a semi-week season, which makes sense because we just came off of fall, which was crazy. And then Honey Lemon Soda from JC Staff. I think this one looks like a cute slice of life high school romance anime, which is like my bread and butter, so definitely going to check that out. Then down here we have another one that I'm considering because I didn't watch the first season of Toilet Bound Hanako-kun Season 2. Zenshu, which is the original anime from MAPPA about the girl who's an animator and then she becomes a director. Right up my alley, and I'm super excited for that. Then we have the last two. We have Flower and Asura from Studio Bind, which just seems like a very, one that I'm interested in, like this, dramatic, I don't even know how to describe it, like a dramatic, book reading thing, literature. I don't know. What do they do in this? They read. Their love of reading. And I also have a Medalist because I think that this one looks pretty cool. And it seems like a cool sports anime. I don't know what's happening to my screen here. Okay. My screen was doing something, not for y'all, but for me. And then I have Medalist here, which is a sports show. So those are my shows that I'm planning to watch. I guess if Quintuplets doesn't count, maybe I'll try to see if there's another one that I can sub in. And then there's some ongoing shows down here that I have, or I guess they're not. They just got merged in. Shangri-La Frontier, I still haven't started, but I'm planning on checking that out. ReZero is continuing. I'm watching that. Blue Box, continuing. I'm watching that. And is that it? I think that's it. Oh, and Orb. Yeah, I haven't started that, but I'm still planning to. And so that's what the winter season looks like for me. What are you guys planning to watch? I know that I'm probably skipping a bunch of stuff that some people are really excited for, but you already know that I have certain tastes. And if something's not interesting to me, I'm just not going to watch it. Unless, if I hear really, really good things about something, I might check it out. So I guess we'll just see how that goes there. But currently, that is what winter looks like for me. All right, I figure, we talk about anime piracy all the time because that's been one of the biggest news stories lately. And there's I've been gone for a while, so there's been 5 big stories of these that have come out. So, or 4, I think. And so we're just going to do a speed round of each of these, talk for 30 seconds on each of them and move on. Just because, I always say the same thing, but I do feel like you guys should be updated on this stuff because this is, kind of breaking news, at least for the anime community. So starting out here, we have from CBR, Korea will use AI to purge piracy streaming sites in new government strategy. So they're doing what Japan is doing, and they're using AI to detect when anime is being pirated or being used in places where it is not legally allowed to be. And they're going to use that to say, hey, this is probably a piracy site. And then someone will look at it and be like, yeah, this is a piracy site, or no, this isn't. And then, then they can take legal action from there. But Korea is doing the same thing that Japan's doing. The operator of an illegal webtoon platform was arrested, as you can see here, got arrested in Korea. They got arrested on the website for Nunu TV, as well as TV Wiki and OKToon. And these are webtoons and things like that on these sites. And the person's been arrested, and I believe the site has been also taken down already. Then we have this one, back to CBR, Otaku and Anime. Piracy streaming sites worth over 100 million visits face new court subpoena pressure. So as far as I know, nothing's officially happened, but they have been subpoenaed. And so they're essentially going to have to, face legal action with that. And the last one is a Shonen Jump. This one isn't really like anime piracy, but it kind of is leaks. It's still legal using of manga and anime. Another Shonen Jump publisher is demanding that Twitter gives up a One Piece leaker, like their real identity, in a U.S. subpoena filing. This has already happened with a few studios last year. I don't know how far it went. I forget, but they're doing the same thing here where they, so I assume it worked or else they wouldn't even be trying it, where they're going to try to get the actual personal information so that way they can take legal action against these people who are floating out these illegal leaks. But there's all the piracy stuff and the war against piracy that the anime studios and publishers and all that are going for. You guys know how I feel about it. Piracy, I don't like it in concept because it's stealing, and I wish that people would use it. I wish that people would watch stuff legally, especially if they have the means to, but it's also a gray area because some people either don't have the funds or maybe something's not available in their region and they want to access it. And the only way they can access it is through piracy. And, studios and licensors, distributors, they really aren't making it easy for people to watch stuff legally. We've even seen Crunchyroll start gatekeeping more shows at the time when they're cracking down on piracy, especially with one of the most popular shows right now, arguably the most popular anime right now, which is One Piece. So I just think it's a whole bunch of bull crap on both sides thing. And, I see no one actually trying to come to like an actual problem solver. They're just like pulling up weeds and weeds just grow back. And so I don't really see this being any permanent solution. We're just going to keep hearing about this until something actually systemic does happen. But anyway, y'all know how I feel about that. So one of the things that is like the most probably anticipated film for anime fans is the Demon Slayer movie. The Demon Slayer Infinity Castle is being adapted into a trilogy. You guys knew this. It will cap off the series. It's kind of like what people wanted Attack on Titan to do, which is finish with like 1 or 2 movies, but then they like milked it for a bunch of seasons. So I'm glad they're not doing that, and we get to see Demon Slayer in the theater. And an executive producer from Toho is saying that this will be a major box office hit that transcends the industry. And I don't think he's joking. So per Manton Web, Toho announces its 2025 film lineup and 2024 box office revenues at Toho Cinemas Hibiya in Tokyo. Yoshida stated that Infinity Castle's Demon Slayer movie predecessor, Mugen Train, made almost like, okay, so he's going to talk about the yen it made and stuff like that. It made almost $500 million at the worldwide box office. It almost cracked $500 million. And I don't even really need to like continue reading this because, he talks about how like even the premieres that they did for the latest seasons, each one of them have both like made, I think one made like 75 million and the next one made like 50. They still make crazy money. So even just for like an early premiere of an episode. So he's absolutely right. What I predict for the first Infinity Castle, man, because this one, I don't know. I've kind of gone back and forth on this. I don't know if it's going to be adapted into like after it comes out in theaters, I don't know if it's going to be turned into like a bunch of episodes like Mugen Train was, where it was chopped up and then turned into the first part of season 2 of Demon Slayer, or if they're just going to leave them as movies and the movies will just go up on Crunchyroll and you can watch them there. Or maybe they'll do both. I don't know. But if that's the case, if they just keep these movies and make no promise to cut these down into episodes later, I think that's probably the most likely option, but I can hope that they'll just leave them as movies. I think the floor for the first one is $500 million. I think personally, it's probably going to get into the 600 million. The second one, if that momentum and if that first one is fire and it keeps that momentum going, and they're going to be released year after year, that next one could be knocking on the door of 700. And now I'm not going to become some crazy person who's like $1 billion. That's not going to happen, but it definitely, it definitely could. Like, I could see this trilogy by the time it's over. I could see it getting to 750 by the end. Sorry, my fiance was texting me. Got to read what the fiance texts you in time, or else you get in trouble. You know how it is. future wife there and all. I could see this making 750 by the end of it. Like this trilogy in and of itself, I think you're looking at like 1.5 billion in theatrical. Like that's how much the theatrical gross would be. That doesn't mean that that's how much comes out in profit and stuff like that. But if they give these an actual full on theatrical release, which they should, because this will be massive, it's going to be crazy. So with the cooperation of various fields, we would like to make Infinity Castle a major box office hit that transcends the industry. It will. I think depending on how well this one does, this first one could be on like the top 10 grossing films of the year. And then like 2 and 3, definitely. It's just all about this. If this one does not please the audience, and if it underperforms, this trilogy is kind of over. Like, I mean, they'll still make money and they'll still be greatly successful, but that higher end, like, that's gone. I think the highest this ever gets is like 800 million, but that's not going to happen. I think 750 is the peak, and you could see that with the third film. I just don't know if the audience is there. That would be something that would be crazy. But those are my thoughts, because these budgets are also really small compared to other major releases like this, that they're going to make so much money. It is insane what's going to happen. This is such a genius move. And I don't know if I made that clear when this news was announced, but it is such a genius move to make this a trilogy, because, oh my gosh. Anyway, I know they saw when Mugen Train came out, they were like, oh, yeah, we're doing the final arc as a trilogy. They probably were like, we're going to do the finale as a movie. But then they were like, yo, what if we just did the whole arc? And then the producer was like, yeah, okay. Yeah, we'll do that. And oh my gosh, they're going to make so much money. I don't even know when it comes out in the US. It might not even come out in the US until next year, or late this year, in which case that bumps the entire like trilogy down a while for the US release. But at least in Japan, it'll be coming out this year. And so we'll just have to see how that box office goes. But I think that box office is going to be nuts. All right, with all the main stuff out of the way, it's time to do something that we haven't done in a long time, and that is keep up with the anime community. All right, so this one, I don't even have the mental capacity for this. I saw this on Twitter and I was like, oh no. And then like it was even in the anime major news places, and I was like, oh no. A girl decided to get married, which is cool. Like people get married. I'm getting married. That's cool. But she got married to a fictional character. So this Japanese girl got married to Yoichi Isagi from Blue Lock. And here are the photos. I don't need to give context, okay? These were on TikTok. And people were like, oh my gosh, wow. I don't even know, like, if she, like, legally, like, did this legally happen? Like, did she, or did you just, like, have a ceremony? Or did you actually, like, get married? Like, I don't even know if you could legally do that. Prior to the wedding, she also shared a post on the day of the fitting, which showed her trying on the dress, which she would eventually wear the day of. The account's name is Kitsuba41, being officially listed as Isagi's favorite food. Move for the sake of my goal. Okay. Oh gosh. This isn't the first time a fan. Okay. And that's the name. Yeah. Okay. Maybe we shouldn't keep up with the anime community. All right, with that out of the way, it's time to take a look. I mentioned this earlier. Take a look at the anime trending fall winners of the seasonal awards. So usually we go through like all of the stuff, and I don't really care about all that, the character things and stuff like that. So we're just going to go through the top 10 ranking, and we'll just kind of see what happens. So these are the top 10 shows of the season in terms of the ranking. So Dandadan placed first. ReZero placed second, Blue Box and Danmachi placed third and fourth, and I believe they are not eligible because they are continuing. Danmachi didn't actually finish. It's getting it had production issues, so it stopped, and it is continuing, I think, in like spring. But Blue Box is continuing, and so that's not really eligible for this year. And so you'll see that in probably next year's awards. And so Ranma 1/2 took that spot, but they also have it up here. Here are your final top 10 anime for the fall 2024 anime season. ReZero, Dandadan, Blue Box, and Danmachi are nominated for Anime of the Year. However, the nominations for Blue Box and Danmachi will be deferred to 2025 instead of 2024. Ranma 1/2 will have another opportunity to qualify for Anime of the Year through the ongoing wildcard rounds. It secured this top spot or this spot as the highest ranking anime outside of the overall top 4 in the 11th and final week of the fall 2024 anime charts. Even though Bleach beat it in the overall ranking, because Ranma won, or Ranma was higher, it was right there outside of the top 4, it wins. Bleach not being nominated is crazy to me, but it's their rules. It's how their eligibility works. They don't actually nominate it based on quality. Not saying like they nominate bad shows, but they nominate it based on like how the community reacts. If the community says it's the best show, or if it performs really well in the rankings and stuff, it gets nominated, but those don't. So we already have our first 2 nominees of 2025, which are Blue Box and Danmachi, and we'll see how the rest of those go. I forget who won that wild card round for this anime season. Oh, it's here. Okay, Delicious in Dungeon won. Okay, so Delicious in Dungeon is, because we talked about that. That's going to be in the awards. Why am I buffering? Israel. Hello. We're also going to check out the Japanese animation TV rankings for the week of December 16th through the 22nd. These are taken in the Kanto region, 40 million people. They use this as okay, you know the rule. Okay, so first we have Bloomy Biru with a 3.5 household rating. The Magical Girls finale had a 2.7 household rating. One Piece, 2.5, and Wonderful Precure, 2.4 average ratings. And now we're going to do our anime announcement speed round. Both of these are films that I'm super excited for. Oh, I totally just X'd out my website. So hold on. I got to reload all this back up. I know what I'm doing. Here we go. Okay. So the first one is from Makoto Shinkai, where he said this in a tweet on the 31st. Happy New Year. 2024 was a year I spent working on a new movie. It's a great joy to build a new world that no one has seen before from scratch with my colleagues. I'll do my best to announce it in some way this year. I hope 2025 will be a peaceful year for everybody. So, he's going to announce it this year. He's going to announce what his next film is going to be. The last time we had a new film from Shinkai was Suzume, and that was hype. I remember when that was announced. And usually from announcement to completion for Shinkai films is about a year. So we're looking in Japan, you're looking at probably a 26 release. For us, maybe late 2026, maybe early 2027. We'll see. But he's going to announce it later this year. And he says, build a new world that no one has seen before from scratch. So fantasy? Are we going to a fantasy world? This tells me his past few films have all or maybe his entire work, unless I'm blanking on a film, has been Earth, just people in cities. Sometimes you have different things like Your Name, the time bendy thing, Weathering with You. Obviously you have the Sunshine Girl, and in Suzume you have the chair, the cat, all the, natural disaster stuff. But they're all on Earth, and he doesn't have to build that world from scratch. So it sounds like he's actually doing something that could be really cool. A fantasy world, please. Give me something like that, Shinkai, please. I love Shinkai so much. He's one of my favorite filmmakers working today. And then the other one, another film from another very acclaimed anime filmmaker, Mamoru Hosoda, is doing a new film called Scarlet. And so Mamoru Hosoda, last time he worked was Belle, which I also really like Belle, and I think that came out in the US the same year as Suzume. So, or did it? Was that 2022? I forget. My timeline's all messed up. But anyway, Sony Pictures has partnered with Studio Chizu and Nippon TV to co-produce and co-finance Scarlet, the new animated feature from Academy Award-winning, or nominated, Japanese director Mamoru Hosoda. I believe that was for Mirai, that was nominated for the Oscar for Best Animated Feature. The film will receive global distribution through Sony Pictures with the US theatrical release planned for winter 2025. So that'll be not winter, in terms of the anime season, but this we're looking December. Toho will handle Japanese theatrical distribution, which will probably be released sometime in the fall earlier. The collaboration marks Sony Pictures' first venture with Studio Chizu. the animation studio co-founded by Hosoda and producer Yuichi Saito in 2011. The film's producing team includes Saito along with Toshimi Tanio from Nippon TV and Nozomu Takahashi from Studio Chizu. And Scarlet centers on a princess who transcends time and space. The project follows, Belle, which premiered at Cannes and became his highest grossing film. So there's that. Another one I'm stoked for. I'm a lot less familiar with Hosoda's work than I am with Shinkai's work, and that's on me. I just need to catch up and go through all of that. He's still more of a relatively recent discovery for me in terms of like finding out about his work. So I just need to go through it right now. I'm still going through all the Ghibli films because there's still some I haven't seen. And we have like 5 more. We went from the beginning, from Castle in the Sky before Studio Ghibli even existed. We're going all the way to The Boy and the Heron. We actually ended up watching The Boy and the Heron a little bit early because my sister was in town in early December and she'd never seen it. And so we figured we'd watch it with her and then do the rest of the films because she's seen those. But anyway. That's going to do it for this episode of the Otaku Experience and the first episode of 2025. Hopefully it's going to be a really good year. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. You can also listen to the show on Spotify, and there are links in the description to all of my social media if you want to keep up with me outside of the show. And with that all being said, I'll see you all next time.